And we're back.
It's Breakfast with the Beatles.
You and me talking Beatles. Sorry, I just stole your bit because you did just do that. It was good though.
Yeah.
So, this is since you guys have been gone, I've had a lovely day. Really nice day in Vancouver today. And I went for a run. I went up to I'm trying to be positive, After, like the last episode we were talking about how I think I mentioned at one point I took my car into the shop.
Uh-oh, here we go. James's impossible way of life coming up. Get your checkbooks out.
You guys remember Johnny's impossible way of life episode when he had a bad day with his car? Times that by about 4.5 and you'll get the price on my impossible way of life.
But you had a good day otherwise, though.
I had a great day.
Mine was bad all
listen, man, it's all Maya. You know what I mean? It's all illusion.
Right.
I'm still in Rishikesh. Mm-hmm. Like, none of it's real. Have you ever taken the fruit from a banyan tree and looked inside?
Well, not physically.
What, have you done it on the metaverse?
In my own mind, I have.
Oh, okay. So you're already
on the spiritual plane.
On a spiritual plane, a kind of astral plane, astral weeks. Mm-hmm. So I went for a minimalist run, which went
what does that mean?
I don't know. It's just, I think I said it once, and there's this guy, and sometimes I think he's a patron, sometimes I don't think he is. I can't remember. He's called David Corrigan. He makes furniture. David Corrigan.
Yeah.
This is a Wednesday one. Welcome to Impossible Way of Life, your official alternative
get back commentary
and reaction podcast.
Yes.
Yeah. And thanks very much for all of the patrons who've need to know. And we've been inundated with all sorts of messages here, there, and everywhere, you could say.
Well, if there's one thing that we can claim to be official about, it's this documentary, because we've been talking about it since before it was
pretty sure we invented it.
Yeah, before it was even a
if
real
I
thing.
went back over the tapes, and they're all online and on my Dropbox, I'm pretty sure we were talking about this pre-Peter Jackson having the tapes.
I'll tell you one thing.
I'll
Guy's done a hell of a job.
Hell of a job.
I'm willing to go on record right now and say that Get Back is better than The Hobbit Desolation of Smog.
Is it better than Desolation Row?
Yes.
Is it?
I think it's the greatest rock documentary ever made.
Better than
and I haven't
Pump?
even seen the whole thing.
Aerosmith Pump?
Pump's a close second.
We did like 2 episodes on that, so it doesn't make me feel bad that we're doing 6.
Does The Last Waltz count? Yeah.
I mean,
that's top 5.
As far as I'm concerned, it's a documentary. It's like Scorsese and Robbie Robertson coked up.
Like scripted, essentially.
Yeah, it's not a documentary. It's fiction. So yeah, like the minimalist running thing, I don't know where it comes from. There's a guy who listens to our podcast who will hear this one. Whether he's a patron or not, I'm not sure. He sometimes messages us. Fine fella, David Corrigan. Wish him all the best. Always enjoy his messages. Kind of sends, a kind of like, I'd say like a landscape of the mind, sort of psychogeographical kind of check-in once every couple of months. Just sort of like, this is what's been going on in my life. Hope you two are fine. And often accompanied by like, he is wearing like new running shoes. He's really interested in how we run.
Okay.
And the fact that we're into running. Mm-hmm. More so than the music, I think. And also he designs upholstery and, he reupholsters furniture. That's kind of Beatlesy, I think.
Certainly is.
So yeah, like that. So I went on a run. I went up to Midtown Ridgeway. So for everyone listening who's not from Vancouver, this isn't going to make sense, but I'm going to do it anyway because Johnny's going to like it. You take the Arbutus pathway that you know well. Past Kilchenna Park. You get to about 37th, actually. Take 37th west. Gotcha. And then you get to McDonald, you take McDonald, and you hit Quesnel.
Yeah.
And you're on top of the city.
You're up on that big hill.
And I love it. And on a sunny day, I went to bed last night knowing it was going to be sunny today, dreaming about that run.
I got out of the studio too late, so it was too cold and dark.
It was cold when I went out.
So I hit the pool instead.
Nice.
And you know the name of the street where my new pool is on?
Where's your new pool? Oh, Hillcrest.
Do you know the name of the street it's on? Mixolydian Drive.
No.
It's Mytholydian.
Well, which is kind of something.
Mith-Olydian. I like to call it Mixolydian.
It's a great pool up there.
Great.
Did you hit the sauna up?
No time.
I mean, it's good.
Yeah,
they've got an
I'll
outdoor
be spending
pool.
a lot of time in there. Yeah,
Olympic size.
Oh yeah.
Olympic grade.
I'll be spending a lot of time. It's got a lot more to offer than Britannia, which I've hit a few times recently.
Britannia is a bit sketchy. I think that's where
It's just
Omicron
old.
came from.
It's just
I think.
Yeah, but I won't be hitting the Arbutus Pathway for a run anytime soon. Now that I'm an East Sider. The other day I had no idea where to run. So you know what I did? I just ran straight up Main Street, 45 blocks and back.
Yeah.
Like,
well, I mean, I can help you
people.
out with some runs up there. I mean, you want to get into Queen
dark.
Elizabeth Park, right? But there's a lot of hills.
It's get dark so early.
Yeah. Well, before we get into the Beatles, I wanted to talk to you about this.
They're good.
Just conceptually, I was going to bring it up. Got a nice message here from Reese Timpson.
Okay.
He says, not sure if you guys have seen this because you're so deep into Beatlemania, but it seems important. Mm-hmm. He thinks that John Mayer might be about to take over as host. And I think he for the Grateful Dead, and I think he means host body, like a new host for Jerry, because there's an interview here.
Thought that already happened.
But listen to this interview with John Mayer. The Dead may continue after the Grateful Dead members retire, says John Mayer.
Okay.
So he's saying here, Dead and Company, which they're called now, with him in the band, toured this past summer, and the band is likely to keep on going, especially because of the Grateful Dead biopic on the way, helmed by Martin Scorsese.
So anyway, he's going the way of Stamos.
Well, I think so. I think so. And you got to think about, like, with the Stamos angle, we talked about it, like the different models. I think that maybe like the host body model hasn't been used yet. Mayer acting as a Mixolydian host for Jerry's licks.
Well, that would be a fine, sort of spirit to welcome into your own physical body.
Yeah.
Whereas Mike Love's would not be welcomed.
Mike Love represented in Rishikesh and in Get Back.
Oh,
Act 2.
He went out there and wrote that like transcendental meditation surf tune.
Well, a lot of the time with Mike Love, the thing is, it's the only bad days he has are ones when he hasn't done his TM.
Right.
Famously. He didn't want to be at the Capitol riots. He just forgot that morning.
Yeah, exactly.
To do his TM.
He doesn't want to play like, hunting festivals
with
in Las
Mike McGrath.
Vegas with Donald Trump Jr. He just forgot to meditate.
Is Donald Trump Jr. in the Beach Boys? Or is that Barron?
Yeah. He's probably
Trump.
their manager.
Yeah.
He'd be a great band manager
He
for
would
the Beach
actually.
Boys.
Alan Klein.
Don Jr.
Yeah. He would work.
Did you notice I'm wearing my George Harrison mock tonight?
You got a mock turtle on.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we kind of left it. I'll tell you exactly where we left it. For people listening and just tuning in right now, this is Impossible Way of Life. Your guide to everything Beatles / Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
And we do a premium episode every Sunday. And you have to pay to play, And we were talking about this a little bit earlier. We've already done, this is the part 2 of Get Back, Act 2.
Yes.
This is the second part of us recapping, reacting, and, doing some kind of fashion style criticism.
Mostly fashion.
Yeah. And so
Act
if you want
two,
to... Pardon.
Which so far to me has been the best act, though I haven't seen 3.
I don't know how 3 can beat it. Because we kind of know what happens in 3 a little bit.
That's what I thought about too.
Yeah, that's true. But we kind of like, if you want to listen to the first one, it was last Sunday. Go on our Patreon /Impossible Way of Life or An Impossible Way of Life on Patreon. I can't remember which one it is. And just kind of log in, hack in. And you know what? There's other ways you can get those episodes. There are probably other people who can give you the codes, the RSS feeds and stuff. It's not on, a particularly kind of Fort Knoxian style operation we're running. But I'll tell you this. You can get bootlegs of all of these Let It Be tunes. They've been bootlegged for 50 years? You can get all this shit.
Certainly.
Yeah, 8, 9 CDs.
I've had it for years.
But, do you want to be a bootlegger or do you want to be in the official Get Back fan club? Mm-hmm. I mean, it's the same with this podcast. Yeah, sure, you can listen. You can borrow your friend's fucking iPhone and something, but do you want to know that when we're doing this, we're doing it for you, and you're contributing to the cause?
Well, and on a serious note, we really appreciate it.
Well, it certainly really helps us, yeah.
I got, as the saying goes, Christmas is coming, goose is getting fat. Please put a penny in the old man's hat. If you haven't got a penny, hey penny will do. If you haven't got a hey penny, God bless you.
Absolutely.
And,
and I got a $2,300 car fucking repair bill.
Well, exactly.
Today, so.
And I got a girlfriend with really expensive taste.
Young bride.
You know what I mean? If she's not showered with gifts Christmas morning,
showered, I'm
not going to be sleeping in my own bed.
Well, I would say you've kind of got like a Patty Harrison kind of.
Pretty much.
Yeah, absolutely. Where I've got more of a Yoko kind of energy.
Yeah.
She's kind of on cold baked beans and art the whole time, doing like scream therapy and
super
stuff like
cool
that.
though.
Yeah, well, that's my kind of more my vibe, And I'm going to No, you got more of a Linda.
Patty's cool too.
No,
I have more of a Linda.
Yeah,
100%.
Sure. Yeah, you got
Alex
Linda.
is a photographer.
Yeah,
full Linda. Of course,
Linda.
I'm Paul, and of course, you're John.
Exactly.
How come this keeps happening?
Because it's true.
Like, I've even selected the Paul girlfriend.
I know.
Why?
What did I do?
Pick the John one.
I got you in a little Faraday cage there, I think you could say.
Anyway.
Yeah, it's complicated. Okay, let me see where we were at. I just remember it was basically we ended the last episode on Alan Klein.
Right.
And how Billy Preston has just lit up the world. And then within, you kind of like pick me up and then drop me. And then you get that little kind of moment where John Lennon is like, talks about Alan Klein and he's excited.
Yeah. You got any beers?
I got some Guinness. I
don't feel like a beer.
Do you want a Guinness?
Yeah, we could share one.
You just have a Guinness.
Yeah. You know what?
Do you want it in like is the can okay?
Can's good.
Okay, yeah. Okay. You talk. These people can just wait. It's fine. Let me just get them. I'm not going to pause it.
No, I'll talk about it. I want to say something anyway, which is that something's been happening lately that I have never in my life, James, done so much Beatles just chatting on the phone with people and online and texting. I'm telling you, all day my phone's blowing up Beatles. I've had 5 conversations today about this documentary. It's out of control. Like friends from all over. My mother,
up, down, and all around.
My mother.
I'm glad you said that because I kind of want one too.
Yeah,
the Guinness. That is. Guinness felt Christmassy. It felt Beatlesy. I know they're Gewürztraminer guys and all that. There you go. It's the widget. It's okay. It doesn't overflow. It's the widget.
I know. I'm just worried about your couch, buddy.
Oh, yeah. Well, it's kind of John Lennon of you to be on the white couch. That's one thing I'll give you as John. You can wear all white.
Yeah.
I can't do that.
So can Paul.
No.
India period, he did a lot of
but he doesn't look good.
Yeah,
it doesn't look good. John looks good full white.
Right.
Yoko looks like a kind of 2009 mason jar hipster girl. In all white with her like chucks on. She's kind of wearing like, those like white jeans that girls wear where they're cut. They deliberately cut kind of at the ankle.
Yeah, Alex has some.
Frayed.
Yep, she has exactly.
It's a Yoko move and Yoko's doing it. I like John. He's wearing I have a lot of white clothes because I'm a health goth. It's white and black. That's it. And I have a white Henley.
True. You don't wear colors.
No, I have a white I have a white Henley, and I have the same shirt that he wears when they're kind of working on Two of Us. So I have that Henley. I have the same shirt. I have white trousers. I can't pull it off. I feel sort of big boned in it or something. Whereas you kind of have, I think you have to be tremendously skinny to pull it off.
Well, thanks.
Yeah, well, you, George, and John, for different reasons, have, I think that George has an eating disorder. I think that John's just on heroin. And you, I don't know what it is. I wouldn't dare say. Just your natural kind of libido or something.
Just how I look, buddy.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. Well, don't drink too many. Guinness is low cal.
Well,
I don't know, Alan Klein.
Yeah, he was the guy who really was responsible for breaking the Beatles up, I think, in many ways, because he was this, cutthroat manager businessman who...
Stones relationship there or something?
Yeah, I guess. I think he was kind of famous for... really grinding people and getting artists paid a lot of money and stuff like that. Yeah. And I guess that appealed probably Mick or Keith or somebody like...
Yeah, I don't know. I don't really know the situation with Alan Klein, except that you're the Beatles guy, so...
Well, I think the only way to truly explain who he is just in reference to Lord of the Rings, probably.
We've not figured out who he is.
Well, like who he is as a man?
No, in Lord of the Rings.
Well, I think at the point we're at here in at the end of Act 2 is kind of like Two Towers.
Well, we're in the Two Towers, yeah.
So, we're at Helm's Deep here. There's a...
Yeah. Yeah,
and what the hobbits, the Beatles, are unaware of is that Saruman, Alan Klein, is building an army back in
America.
Wherever he's from.
Yeah, the south bit.
Yeah,
I'm gonna watch Lord of the Rings tonight
with the audio from this. Yeah,
exactly.
And I think he's Saruman because Sauron...
No one's Sauron.
Sauron, we said, is like the future of music.
Spotify.
Yeah, Spotify.
Daniel, and he's proving it by like defense. He's paying... He just... Like, what did he do? Like, Daniel Ek, the Spotify guy, like put like $100 billion into AI defense tech.
Yeah.
Yesterday or something.
Yeah.
We've got Stockholm Syndrome as musicians. It's fucking hilarious.
And I feel like all the orcs are like playlists.
Yeah, and then then even lower than that are the musicians. It actually, I've got to say, I do find it disgusting. And I'm not saying this from a position of privilege here because my band probably does it and like everyone does. And I get it. And even last year, I'd be like, oh yeah, whatever. Like, Spotify, like playlist, all this kind of like self-congratulation, stuff. You're like, okay, whatever, it's fine. But like this year, for some reason, my phone's, I'm really close to being offline. There's something about it that is like, but you've got to be on the cusp of something, right? Like it's got to be like there'll be a point when that's the only way to be.
Yeah.
The Beatles, and like the Beatles kind of have made bands cool, right? Again, like certain things are going to be cool. I worry about people like, Kevin Morby. Like what are they going to do? Is he Dylan? Is he Timothy Chalamet? Is he like...
You're fuging.
No,
You're fuging.
But I got to know. Like... Overall,
what's he going to do in terms of what?
Is he online? Is he offline? He's really cool. Like he's really focused on being cool. So like Pitchfork's gone. It's gone. It's what happens now.
We should ask Bleecker about this.
We're gonna need to get him on.
He will be on to talk Beatles.
Oh well, he's.
Do you think the Beatles get on any playlists ever?
I think that like it's interesting because like their most famous songs are like George songs. Right?
Yeah.
Which is kind of interesting.
Here Comes the Sun probably is on a few playlists.
I think it's on a couple. You don't see them wake up, go to sleep, sunset.
Yeah, sunset memories.
Actually, it's pretty funny when they're talking about Get Back and then like Two of Us on this. And Paul at one point, he's kind of fuging a bit himself and he says, yeah, it's like, I can't do the voice because I'm actually from there, so it's just really hard for me to do. Right. You're really good at all of them.
Yeah, I can do Paul, you know.
Yeah, it's no problem. You know, I just have to do my own voice. That's it. I just do my own voice, you know. All I do is, you know, just say you know more. And then it's just it's just actually my voice. I already sound like Paul. I'm up here, you know. Yeah.
You're doing me. You go down there, you know.
G, give peace and love. All right. To fight for your right.
George, it seems to be that it doesn't sound very good in this rehearsal space.
Could we get a tie that looks exactly the same as this carpet?
Mal, I'd like whatever the vegetable order is, but can they put cheese sauce?
Cream cheese sauce.
Cream cheese sauce on the broccoli.
That's sort of like, you know, all things must pass right there. Cheese sauce on the broccoli, you know.
Yeah, well, that's what he was trying to
say. That's what that song is about.
Uh-huh.
What was I saying?
You know that Ruddle song, Cheese and Onions?
Yeah.
Do I have to spell it out? CHEESEANDONIONS. Oh no.
Could be a Beatles song.
Yeah.
You've been dealing in paraphernalia.
You're my number one. You're my second to none. The songs are so
good songs.
You know the one that's greatest. Time goes on, as we all know, naturally. People come and people go, naturally. Let's be natural. Ever since the world began. It's really good.
Kind of John.
Every woman, every man. Yeah, it's like, that one's like, Happiness is a Warm Gun meets Dear Prudence.
Yeah.
They're all
it's
like,
got the Indian stuff.
No, there isn't.
Well, Dear Prudence has got an Indian vibe, right?
It's about,
like that. It's about, you know, Prudence.
Yeah. There's a Ringo one, too. Because we're living in hope. Yeah, we're living in hope.
What was he up to today on Instagram? Peace and love in everybody.
He said it's all happening.
Yeah.
He's partying, dude, because the doc's out.
He's probably cashed in a couple more mil.
He's like, I'm back, man. Beatles are back.
Beatles are good?
Beatles are fucking biggest band in the world again.
Turns out.
I'm telling you, man. Take a look at my phone from today. Beatles. Hey, Johnny, you seen the new Beatles doc?
Yeah.
Have you watched Act 2 yet? I mean...
Yeah. I don't get any of that.
You're my 10th conversation today about that.
I actually do. Like my friend Joe in England, who's going to come on our pod, he's been doing it. And he had a lot to say about it. And he won't mind me saying this because, you know, we're old friends. He had a lot to say. And we got like a time differential. You know, he's like 8 hours ahead. Yeah. And he was going off the other night. And then in the morning, he was like, could you tell that I was high last night when I was like, it's the only way to be. It's the only way to be. It's 1968.
He was getting keyed up.
He was keyed up watching the Beatles, texting me about the potentiality that, you know, like Ringo is a mute. You know,
he does say though. He says, "Not really."
Yeah,
that's the only line he's had in this so far.
He said "Obladi oblada" once.
Yeah, "Obladi oblada,"
and then he
started saying when they started doing Act Naturally, he was like, "Wanna put me in the movie." Like that, just for a second.
So, you know, Alan Klein, we all know what happens. I just thought it was...
I don't really know. It's not interesting. Know. He's an idiot.
I think it's just a cautionary tale, and it's just sad to see...
Paul wanted Linda's dad.
Yeah.
Also a conflict of interest. Eastman something.
Yeah. I think it's just one of those big sort of American... They made all their money from like trading with the Nazis and then sort of got out.
So you can see how John and George want this guy who's like trying to give everybody a kind of crazy deal. Paul wants Linda's dad. That's not going to go over.
No.
And then Alan Klein, I think, did some nasty shit to Paul. Mm-hmm. Like tried to kind of get John and George
legs,
do something. And Paul was like, that's it.
It's interesting as well because like the thing that you take away from it is like, even the Beatles, I mean, we talk about McCartney, he's like this now, of course. I mean, he's like literally number one, but he still has to prove that
number one.
Yeah. What? Like, yeah, sure. Yeah.
I'm doing Ruddles.
Yeah,
now.
I know. We're doing the Ruddles. The real Beatles.
Yeah.
The band the Beatles could have been.
Yeah.
That's Wings. They're so vulnerable. Even in these moments, they need a manager. The sort of the vacuum of Epstein.
Well, you could say that's when it all went wrong.
Yeah. Because they've not got no daddy.
That's what Paul said. We kind of need a daddy to say. You know what I didn't mention about this second episode happens at the start that I thought Paul was very cool about Yoko. I thought when he was just saying, it's not it's up to John if he wants to be with her all the time.
Yeah.
And then they said, well, surely there could be some kind of a compromise. And Paul said, well, if I'm not willing to compromise, then why should they? So I have to first,
Yeah.
And and I thought it was very mature of him while the cameras were rolling.
Would
to say
be
that.
fucking really annoying, wouldn't it? Though, if your girlfriend was showing up all the time and you're in a band with someone.
I mean, it kind of seems like they don't even acknowledge her presence.
She doesn't really seem to be that there either.
Yeah, if she was talking all the time,
that
would
said,
be annoying.
right after the Alan Klein moment, enter Sandman.
Yeah,
there is that like Yoko primal scream shit where she's like playing, like she's like screaming and John's playing drums and they're like on Ringo's shit. They're all over each other and it's just like she sounds like a fucking anti-vaxxer, like going off in a Walmart or something. One of those people who'd be like, I am a free citizen, you can't arrest me. It's really annoying, especially when someone... Look, I'm annoyed, I'll admit. I find it quite frustrating and sort of pedantic, and when McCartney's like hamming it up, playing Martha My Dear on like his piano, or teaching some like blind children how to like play every song ever, because it's all the same chords, Yeah. But the yin to that yang is like letting your girlfriend show up and do some scream therapy shit when you're in the Beatles. It's not like you're in like a noise band. You're not like you're a bad band and she comes in and does that. It's like Fluxus nonsense.
Okay.
There was a ladder, I climbed up the ladder and at the top it was like, why not be sexy?
Why not to flow freely?
Yeah.
Okay. What I'll say about that is this. Just let me say my piece here.
Yeah.
I think I am a fan of some of Yoko's music.
Right.
Her records.
Yeah,
I am.
Yeah.
I like some of the albums, and
I'm a fan of Linda's Sausages.
Yeah.
So
I think some of the songs are actually quite good. I like her stuff on Double Fantasy. There's a few albums that are good. But I will agree that in the context of the Beatles, she's just not like, a part of the band.
Just like kind of hang back.
Yeah, make records. It's fine with John, whatever.
Just like hang back. Just know your place. Like,
But, I think Paul kind of like, he's like jamming and stuff. Like, I think they're kind of into it.
Yeah, maybe.
Like I think they think it's kind of freaky and like 60s and like cool.
And actually, and Paul is the freaky one. He's the arty one.
Yeah, like
when they start talking about the India, like, and we're kind of fuging here because it's a bit chronologically forward, but they're talking about the videos. He's seen all the footage from India,
Okay.
And he's like, because he's the arty guy, right? All the others are in their like mansions, like in the home counties.
Here's this is a hot take.
Okay.
Sorry, what do we call that? Hot take TM?
TM, yeah.
Because we patented that, right?
I think so.
So no one else is allowed to use hot take, right?
No one else uses that.
So here's the thing. The original Let It Be film, I've seen many times.
I've heard
had
of
a VHS copy of it as a kid growing up.
Yeah, I've heard of it.
That film gets a bad rap. And I was always like, oh, it's pretty good. Starting to see why.
Right.
Because this scene where Paul's talking about their trip to India is in it. But it comes after all the fighting at Twickenham, him and George, everything. Yeah. And then all it does, the whole scene is Paul talking, telling them all about India, and it comes off like he's trying to get them interested in something.
Right.
Because they don't show any of the previous stuff of them having a great time, jamming, all that. And then it's just Paul monologuing, and they cut to John and George kind of, yeah. And then it's, in this movie,
Yeah.
John says, "Oh, the helicopter part and all that.
Yeah.
That was so interesting." And I was like, "Oh, that's so cool. It's a conversation." But in the other one, Paul just keeps going and saying, "And when you went up in the helicopter and you said I thought he might slip me the answer," and John's kind of like, "Ha ha ha." That's it.
Yeah.
There's no give and take.
Yeah.
So he does paint a negative picture that they're not like. I think. And you can see, I'm fuging a bit here, but listen to this.
we can fugue.
You can see that this director, Hogg, has no
Michael
vision.
Lindsay Hogg.
No vision.
Well, also perhaps nothing like it's like Jodorowsky's Dune. Like there's no kind of no one's made a movie like this yet. Like I guess
they
like
made documentaries.
Pennebaker had, I guess
they'd made documentaries. Like you had, who's the
Look
guy who
Back?
did Harlan County, USA, and all that.
Yeah,
I feel like that stuff had come out. Like
I don't know, man.
But what I'm saying is like John Lennon, like they're in the control room and he's like, I don't even know what I'm making, what this movie is.
Yeah,
And
no, I
John's
know.
like, it's already good enough.
Yeah.
John's like, he gets it. The
Yeah.
Beatles all get it.
Yeah.
They're like, what you've got is gold here.
Yeah.
But so I think he needed a narrative and he wanted that narrative to be, I'm going to paint the picture of the breakup.
Okay.
And I think that's lazy directing is what I'm saying.
Interesting. Well, we'll have to see what happens in
Peter Jackson's knocked it out of the park so far, I
well,
think.
listen, like
Willing to say. Better than Desolation of Smog.
Better than Desolation Row, you said earlier.
Yeah. I don't remember the names of any of the other Hobbit films.
I've never seen them. I once watched The Fellowship of the Ring.
Egregious, buddy.
I watched The Fellowship of the Ring with my friends Paul, Nick, I don't know who else was there, Rick, maybe. We were all on acid. There was probably some more people there. And I remember we were watching The Fellowship of the Ring and then realized, and none of the other ones are out yet. Yeah. And I remember halfway through it having this like feeling of dread, knowing that it was not going to end because it was like just the first of 3 movies. And I've read the books, of course. So and then I was like, I'm never going to watch any of these Lord of the Rings movies now. It's sort of like it broke my mind a bit.
I think you should now after seeing
Well,
this.
I'm going to watch it with the Beatles audio.
Yeah.
Has anyone referenced if they're the same length?
It's got to be close, dude.
Yeah.
It's got to be close.
You think so? You know what's a sick vibe?
What?
George Harrison's 2 things. Him suggesting they do a kind of reach out, I'll be there style thing.
I think he might have just been making fun of the song sounding like that.
Okay,
vamping.
maybe. But like Billy Preston's there, so that would be pretty weird, like to sort of make fun of like that.
Well, no, just making fun of the song Get Back being like similar.
Reach out. Yeah, okay.
Get back.
I don't know if he's making fun, but I think that he does a lot more making fun than people realize.
Yeah.
We're talking about when they're the India shit, fugue a bit to go, we're kind of time wave zero, moving back and forwards in time and stuff.
That's what we've always
Christopher
done.
Nolan, it's fine.
That's what we've always
We can
done.
do it. There's 4 different realms, right? Dreams. Like you go dream within a dream within a dream.
Yeah, Rivendell, Mordor, the
okay.
Shire.
Yeah, or just like the car falling off the bridge. Below that, not Iceworld.
The realms
that's
of
3.
men.
Iceworld, and then it's that place that Leo's been stuck with his girlfriend for ages, and
The
they're
spinning
building.
top, the kind of beach house thing.
They're just like building shit down there in Inception, but then they're on a plane in real life. But
Yeah.
I think he seems, George, really pissed at McCartney, who has quite a stoic and like. We talked about the invisible communion between Lennon and McCartney that you see a lot. This is more of a kind of open one where they're both like, we weren't being ourselves in India, and like we never even got to see a real person because we were like the fool on the hill. We were like in the mansion on a hill looking down. It would have been nice to see how real people lived in India.
Yeah.
And George really doesn't like it. He's really like, yeah, it's funny because we were there to find out who we were, not to be ourselves there. And it's like, you're a fucking idiot, man.
But I did think
like
he was
some
right.
like early colonial kind of like, that kind of like go and stay in South Africa in a fake shanty town and shoot elephants and
For
feel
sure.
what it's like to be.
He's like 25 or something now.
I think he's
But-
24 actually.
Yeah, but I did think he was right, though. Totally with you on all that.
Oh, yeah.
But I did think what he said was right, though, when he was like, we went there to find out who we really are. And he's like, and if you think about it, like what we're doing right now is like not at all who we really are. So I was like, that's totally spot on. Like,
yeah. Well, we also know that he at this point is in the cult. Like,
and we know what he's about to make.
Yeah.
Like, my sweet Lord.
Yeah.
Like,
he's got the glassy-eyed
Hare
vibe.
Krishna. Like, he's all in.
Yeah.
And these guys are kind of like, yeah. Like,
that needs to be a kind of revisionist reading of that stuff, I think. He gets off the hook a lot with that stuff. I mean, I'm not saying from like a woke perspective, but actually it's pretty naff if you think about it.
Yeah.
That he's just went over there and kind of like got really, it's like, gap year George.
Yeah.
I had a year off before university and went to Rishikesh, and now like that's my whole vibe.
Yeah. Well, I personally don't like that record for those particular lyrics or anything.
Not a big I've got to say, I'm not a big all things must pass guy.
I am, but it's not. I could care less about the lyrical content of that stuff.
There was a nice moment in the documentary where they offer him a slide opportunity, a slide guitar opportunity.
Yes.
And they say, this is a cheap one. If he's good at it, we'll get him a real one. And that's prescient.
Yeah.
Quite beautiful.
Yeah,
good spot from Peter Jackson.
Because he hadn't really done any in Beatles, right?
No, there's not really slide.
Yeah, I can't really think of anything that has slide. No. And then John rips it on For You Blue. Yeah. He's great on it.
Oh, and what about when...
A lot of people talking about, is John the worst musician in the Beatles? Yeah, I've seen a lot of that. Yeah. And you know what I say to you? Fuck off. It's the Beatles. They all bring a certain edginess, energy, a thing to it.
Yeah.
I'm not going to go ahead and rank.
Yeah, but Johnny, technically...
Yes, he's the worst.
Technically, is he the worst?
I think so.
Yeah. It's funny, though, because, like, I saw my friend Lowell, who I'd love to get on the pod, actually, post a thing today on Instagram where he's talking about, like, every person he's ever played music with is one of the 4 Beatles.
Yeah. Me too.
Yeah. Like, there's no room outside.
There are no musicians who aren't.
Yeah.
This is the crazy thing.
Yeah.
You get everyone we know. Yeah. Name a person we know who plays music. Give it to me.
I don't know anybody. Mike Komaschuk.
John.
Okay. Luke Paquin.
John. Big time John.
Okay.
Hilarious. Cutting.
Yeah.
Funniest guy in the room.
Okay. Bleecker. Let him answer that for himself. Ringo.
Best hang.
Great
hang. To me, if I say Ringo, that's the biggest compliment of all 4.
Yeah.
If someone gets... I'm talking energy.
I don't know. You know what? I know all the people who wish they were George, but they don't. They're only doing it because they misunderstanding that George is a bit of a prick and he's timid, and they think he's kind of just like the hot mystic one that like didn't really have to commit to doing much.
No, I think the real Georges out there know the flaws in them.
Do you know
Georges.
a George?
Yeah, Sam Blasucci guy just produced.
Okay,
Full George.
Yeah. Full George.
Full George.
Cool. Okay. You heard it here first.
Dan Calusi's a George too.
Yeah. Okay.
Big
sure.
Time.
Yeah. And Ben's Ringo.
Oh,
so you were the full 4.
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
Always.
Yeah.
There was never. We knew that from the start.
Yeah.
But what about in your group? Brandon's Ringo.
Yeah, but he'd think he was George. He's aspirationally George.
No, he's not though.
Yeah. Me and Graham are both John.
Jeff's Paul.
Yeah.
You're John.
And so
Graham's
John.
Grabs a John. Yeah.
There's 2 Johns. 2 Johns don't make a right. You know what I mean? That's how it works.
Yeah.
I think. I've taken a lot away from, this podcast, from this Get Back Act 2. One of the main things, never going to tune my guitar again.
Yeah.
Seems unimportant. Actually, you know what?
Seems like kind of the secret to their sound.
You know what's funny as well is like they have that Fender PA. Mm-hmm. I see that Fender PA. Get them dead cheap. They exist. That's I've seen them all the time. You probably get one right now on Facebook Marketplace. Like, and now they're going to go up in value so much because they're not good.
I think you're giving people a lot of credit that anyone else has noticed that besides us.
Of course they have. You know, Kevin Parker only needs to use a DBX 165 and it's worth like $4,000 on reverb.com.
Yeah.
You know, I mentioned in the last podcast that I have a Korg EX8000. You should see the price change.
Skyrocketing.
It's unbelievable.
And I know, and I'm going to say it right now that I'm keen on switching to an ES335. And, you know, good luck finding one of those in Vancouver now.
Well, I mean, I know where you could find one.
You have one?
No, I don't. But you could go. I've had a left-handed one before, but I switched it for a Ricky. I always regret selling guitars.
That's what Luke plays.
What?
A lefty 335. John.
Paquin has one.
Yeah.
He also has a 70s Strat.
Yeah, he never plays it. He only plays the 335.
I guess I know that somehow.
It's like brown, kind of.
Yeah. I want to buy his Telecaster off Bays. But, you know, that's for another day.
Yeah.
I guess. Saw him the other day at the show. It's interesting.
Steve?
Yeah, saw him, yeah.
Nice.
Graham, actually, from my band, shout out to Graham Jones. He's going tomorrow morning, which will already have happened. I'll try and get photos for you guys, to get a George Harrison haircut. He's got long hair and he's going bangs all in, long mop top George.
That's what I'm talking about. The world is completely obsessed with this documentary.
Yeah.
Yes, that may be just my own algorithm on my phone and the people I know, but seems like we're all really immersed in this.
What do you know about Ringo being sick in Sweden?
Nothing. That was hilarious. Billy Nichols, the replacement drummer.
So Spinal Tap.
Not much, but yeah.
Good drummer.
That's funny. And he used to go, one, two.
It's actually funny because we had a rehearsal the other day because we're playing some shows coming up. We had a rehearsal the other day and we were talking to Graham, our drummer, and we're like, can we figure out your stick counts? Because it changes all the time. And he's like, well, I always say it, you know. It could have been a Beatles. He's like, oh, I'll say like 2, 3, 4. It's like, yeah, but on stage it's loud. We can't hear you. And he's like, well, I don't know how to fix that. It's just going to be whatever I'm thinking in my head at the time. I'm like, well, that's why it doesn't work, because sometimes you do a 3 and we think you're going to do a 4. We can't hear you. And if we turn around, and maybe we'll be able to, but it's not very professional, is it?
No, it's not professional at all.
No, not at all. Yeah. So,
actually, new friend of the pod, my friend Madison.
Nice. Shout out to Madison. Is she a patron?
I believe so.
Okay, if she's a patron, shout out. If not, just, hey, what's up?
She was saying something cool to me today. We were talking Beatles.
Yeah.
And
Let's talk Beatles.
Yeah, she was saying...
Should we change the name of the podcast?
To Let's Talk Beatles?
Yeah. You know what I saw? I don't want to interrupt you. I know I'm doing it again, but it's the Guinness and the J. It was the blended Scotch and the Guinness.
That's okay.
That someone, a fan of the pod, friend of the pod, posted his like Spotify wrap up, and we were his second most listened to podcast, behind a Beatles podcast.
Someone we know, say it.
I don't remember their name. I just remember like there's a Beatles podcast.
Someone listens to a Beatles podcast more than ours.
We're there, yeah, more than us. I gotta listen to it.
Shocking.
I gotta listen to it.
I want to go on it.
Well, I feel like you'll listen to it and they'll do like, hey, you're listening to, brought to you by QuickBooks.
Welcome to Breakfast with the Beatles.
It is that vibe, you know. It'll be like, yeah.
Anyway.
Sorry, yeah.
Madison was saying.
Nice.
She said there's something about this documentary. I thought it was cool that she's like, it sort of feels so voyeuristic to watch it. She was like, it almost feels like naughty to watch. Like, you know what I mean? It's like, why am I privy to this?
Sure. Kind of Kyle MacLachlan, Blue Velvet, you're in the cupboard.
Exactly. And like the hidden
you're watching
mics and stuff. It sort of feels a little bit dirty. You're like, these guys you love, like, why am I allowed to see this?
The hidden microphone felt a little bit kind of...
It felt like naughty but nice kind of to me.
Did you see I sent you a message? You're probably on your way here. What's with the letter that John...
I glanced at it. I don't know. Maybe from Alan Klein. There was Apple Corp stuff.
It's weird, and it mentions Yoko and stuff.
Weird.
Anyone has any intel on that? It says, like, I'm sorry to be saying this to you, Yoko. It's just that this is really important to me. And then starts mentioning Apple Corps and stuff. That's strange.
Yeah.
Okay, so
where are we at?
I'll tell you where we're at.
Two of us?
I'll tell you where we're at. No, we've gone fuging. Like, we're basically at... Well, no, we haven't. They've done... We kind of talked about it on the last episode. And you mentioned, like, John Lennon may never have said he likes a McCartney song, but the look that he gives...
Did you see the look?
I don't think the look's the look. I think it's spliced. But I will tell you... I will tell you, like, I watched it 3 or 4 times. More than the look is George is emphatic. This is what we should do. And it means that means the world to Paul.
For sure.
And it is beautiful to see.
Beautiful scene.
Paul really is. And then he feels uncomfortable when George is like, what was the last one we did? And he's like, Hey Jude. And he feels he feels like he doesn't want it. He really doesn't want it to be in that moment.
Yeah.
He's really, but as beautiful as that is, disappointing that the next scene is him basically saying, well, we've got one good one, I want to press ahead, you know. And he's like, well, I like Dig a Pony and, you know, Don't Let Me Down. And he doesn't say like, yeah, they're good too. He's like, right, anyway, you know.
Haven't got my bass worked out yet on that one.
And he's like,
John's
well,
we've all got it, so.
Yeah. And you're thinking, like, he can't take the win. He's relentless.
Well, he's like, I'm not sure I want to release that as a single yet. Just go with it.
Dude, he can't take the win.
No.
He's brutal.
I know.
It's savage.
I know.
You know? Norm would say
that. I
he's
wouldn't go that
relentless.
far. I'd do it. That's where I'm not Paul to that extent. If everybody was like, Johnny, this is the great song, let's release it, I'd be like, fuck yeah, let's do it.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, it's possible that he's just blinded by Glyn Johns' double-breasted yellow coat at that point. You know?
Or he's had one too many of those J&Bs and Cokes.
Well, he's wearing a nice mustard shirt, so kind of whoever's styling them at that point has said, yellow's in today. We're using yellow.
Yeah.
It's weird because Mal Evans is in a kind of, he's like borrowed one of Paul's Rishikesh shirts.
Yeah.
At that point. Which is kind of weird.
How about that shot of Mal Evans playing the tambourine that's gone viral?
It's amazing.
Fantastic.
Did you think it was interesting that John, I think you'll have noticed this, like John and George start teaming up. You start seeing it.
Yeah.
It's basically from the hidden microphone moment.
Yeah.
And you see it when John is just like, well, just let Billy join the band. And then George is like, I want Dylan to. And they're obviously like messing about, but it's like Paul does not like it.
You know what I loved about that, though, is there's one part where they're talking about the drums on Dig a Pony.
Yes.
And it's so great because Paul, I was like, I said to Alex, I turned to her and I said, good for you, Paul. I was happy because
You're such a Paul.
They're talking about the drums and John's saying, you know, Ringo, do the dum, bum, bap, do the snare like on the 2 and or on the 1 and the 3 or something with it, you know. And Ringo's kind of confused. And it's the three of them, John, George, and Ringo talking about it. And he's butting out. And I'm like, good for you. Keep your mouth shut for a bit. And then what happens? Eventually, John needs a little help. And he says, Paul, what do you think it should be? Like, how should we do it? And Paul's kind of very quiet and humble. He says, well, you know, maybe, are you doing the big cymbal when you hit the kick? To Ringo. And I'm like, good for you, because that's the coolest part of the song. And Paul, if you hang back and wait till they want your opinion, you know he's smart.
It's kind of like George Costanza with like the joke and leave the room.
Exactly.
Kind of vibe.
Exactly. And then, because that's the psh, psh, and that's like the coolest part of that song. Yeah. And I was just like, that's the way you do it, Paul. Don't jump in right at the top and tell them how to do it. You know, anyway, that's...
No, I like it. What do you think about... Since now, because Ringo's so fucking solid. He's a rock. He just stays out of it.
Haven't heard him mess up on the drum. Haven't heard anything going on drums that I didn't like.
Oh,
the whole documentary.
He's not said anything. He just stays out of it.
Yeah,
you know.
And no, but the drumming's all... have you heard it? Been like, what the hell is he playing?
Amazing.
It's amazing drumming. Yeah.
Do you think, power dynamic wise, that another sort of trespass from Macca is when he starts, and again, it's interesting because they sort of figure it out when he's like, "Let me play guitar on Two of Us," and you can just see George is like, "Motherfucker, just stop." Just like, give us a break. And he tries to get John to play bass. He's like, I can't play bass and sing. And they're sort of saying like, come on, man. Like, you're doing the thing that yesterday, because this is only 2 weeks.
Yeah.
We said, please don't. I just left the band. And you can't, he's relentless.
But then it winds up working so great.
It does work out well. It's funny, though, because as soon as he picks up the guitar and starts playing, John starts singing Obla-Di Obla-Da to him.
Yeah.
And I was like, that is low.
And George's guitar part, though, he rolls off the high end.
Yeah.
And he starts doing kind of a bassy thing. It's beautiful.
Kind of a Stephen Stills vibe.
And it works perfect.
Kind of a Stephen Stills kind of like...
ships.
Yeah, it kind of has a wooden ship.
For sure. But it's like... And then they're like, oh, we'll add things in later, but they never do. And it's beautiful arrangement that.
So no bass on it?
No.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
They just do 2 acoustics, electric.
Glenn's good,
Yeah.
He's good,
Yeah.
Glenn's good, I mean, he wears funny clothes, but he's good,
He's good,
He's good. He's good. And a lot of people say he's not a good producer, He's a good engineer, though, He's good.
It sounds good.
Those sound good.
Those tracks.
Okay, hot take. Sounds good.
It does.
Like, so yeah, AKG
Get
C30.
Back sounds good. Well, tell me about the mics.
It's an AKG C30, the one that you like, the one with the sort of Jetson style.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a C28, but like they made only, you can get a C28, which is the same thing, but just in a mic. Mm-hmm. But the C30 is just with this extra mad kind of Jetsons bit.
Yeah.
To make it look futuristic. You can get an old one for like $3,000. It's not even that bad. They've got U87s on everything, right? Like everything. Overheads, guitar amps.
Yeah.
It's all 87s.
Acoustic guitar.
Everything.
Yeah.
And they're singing into AKG mics, I think, mostly. Although they sung in to Neumann, I don't know what it was. I thought it looks like a KM84 and 86, but I don't really know what it is. I didn't look it up, but that's the best
Ringo's
I can do.
Snare and floor always fully toweled.
Oh, yeah.
Fully toweled
Oh,
off.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's like
Rack
late...
toms wide open.
Late Beatles.
Uh-huh.
There's kind of 2 eras of Beatles drums, I think, overall. There's early and sort of late, and then the towels come in at some point.
The gloves come off.
Towels come in, the gloves come off, You know
what they say.
Exactly, yeah. Fuck, I'm desperate for a cigarette, man, after watching the fucking amount that they smoke. It's like going back to Europe.
Uh-huh.
It's like when I go to Hamburg, this is what happens to me. I just go in, to the closest bar I can find, just sort of woodshed in there for hours, Talk to some local Fraulein, working at the bar.
Oh, sure.
Cigs and Steiners,
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. That's it.
I've been there. Though, but I love when they're talking about the bass on Two of Us, though, that he's like, he says something great. He's like, bass is kind of lame. Like, he says something like that. He's like, bass is a bit bad. It's kind of bad.
Yeah.
It's the funniest thing I've ever heard of
I
bass.
feel like that about bass sometimes because I've been stuck on bass for ages. I've started playing it like Stevie Wonder style. I've been using a synth instead.
Right on.
Which is funny because they do a Two of Us Stevie Wonder style version.
Nice.
Don't they?
Yeah. That's what John wanted it to be
he's
like.
kind of, let's make it more kind of Stevie Wonder.
Yeah.
They would have been if Billy Preston was there that day.
Feels like... Hot take here. Okay. Two of Us kind of weirdly doesn't feel like a Beatlesy song.
Except it's so good.
It's a great song, but doesn't feel like a Beatles song.
Maybe it's more of a CSNY song.
It doesn't really feel that Beatlesy to me.
We don't
It's folky.
Yeah, it's very folky.
It's folky.
Yeah, it's like, well, they're into like humble pie and stuff.
It's like one, you always write that one that's kind of like, that's a weird one on the album, but it's good. In their case, it's really good.
It is good, but it's a weird song.
It's one
it's one of the
on
best
the album.
songs though on the record.
Yeah, but it's a weird one on the album too. It doesn't really fit in with anything. Long and Winding Road, Let It Be fit together. I've got a feeling One After 909.
Why does Paul think Long and Winding Road's a good song?
I don't know.
It's weird because he puts that up there. It's funny in that Q interview, the one where he's like that he rehashed recently. He talks about himself in the third person as being the guy who wrote Let It Be, Hey Jude, and The Long and Winding Road. It's like, that is not. I don't know. I mean, I'm not a fan of that era of Paul.
Some people like that.
I'm not a fan of the beer anthem, Paul. It's like Noel Gallagher. He's Noel, and Liam is John.
Yeah. I feel like Two of Us belongs more on
a Will Smith album.
The solo McCartney or something.
Feels like a Wings song, but that's where he's going.
Teddy Boy, those.
On Wildlife.
Yeah.
It would be on the second side of Wildlife.
I like the second side better.
Don't like the first side.
No.
Nothing happening.
No.
At all.
Bip bop, bee bop boo, doop doop dap doop doo dap doo.
Yeah. Pub singing. So pub karaoke.
But you know what I mean? Yeah. I love Let It Be as an album. You got One After 909. I've Got a Feeling. Get Back.
I've heard it.
All good. For You Blue. Those all work together.
Heard it.
Weirdly, I Me Mine and Across the Universe kind of work together.
Yeah, I mean, I Me Mine is a pirate song.
Yeah.
And Across the Universe is very much so, but it's like he's kind of
Pagan
like
pirate.
Genghis Khan.
Yeah.
More of a kind of, well, it's definitely like foreign.
Sort of like he's got the do you call it?
Telescope.
The sextant.
No, 100%.
Out.
Yeah, sextant. Yeah.
Words are flowing out. Like,
absolutely. No, 100%.
It's it's a pirate, a thoughtful pirate.
I would say it's kind of like Silk Route.
Yes.
So it's like land pirate.
Marco Polo kind of.
100%. Yeah. Imaginary cities. Yeah. It's Italo Calvino.
It's journeying, adventuring.
It's back to psychogeography.
Yeah, exactly.
Landscape of the mind. Yeah, no, I get it for sure.
Yeah.
Kubla Khan. I don't know. The Mongols.
Sure.
Yeah, I'm a Mongoloid.
Yeah.
You know. Yeah, no, it is. It's land pirate. Dandy Highwayman.
Let It Be, Long and Winding Road obviously go together. And then you've got The Outlier, Two of Us. That's what I mean. Yeah. Oh, Dig a Pony also with I've Got a Feeling and all that. Obviously.
Yeah. Isn't there a Stevie Wonder song called Two of Us?
You and I.
Yeah.
You're thinking of You and I.
Yeah.
Great song.
Yeah. So what's that all about?
Well, different songs.
I mean, his version of We Can Work It Out is really good. Mm-hmm. Really good high harmony in that only Stevie could do.
Yeah, I never really liked the Beatles version that much.
No, and his version of it's insane, and he sings this. Ladies and gentlemen, go listen to his version of We Can Work It Out. Everyone has heard it, but in the second chorus, he just belts this like monotone high harmony that I could just listen to all day.
Stevie's good?
Oh my God, yeah. Have you seen him recently?
No.
And neither is he.
Not good?
Well, he's not seen himself, has he? Yeah. I tell you what, though. Billy Preston's smile. Infectious. Completely infectious. And I wonder how he feels about a cup of tea. I wonder how he feels about that kind of culture.
What about him walking in day 2? Yeah. Looking like $1 million.
Well, they've styled him up. Yeah. They styled
and he like does a little twirl, takes off the overcoat with that lining inside.
Yeah. Well, no, they've had their Savile Row experts because they're talking about him joining the band. Yeah. And like, I thought it's very interesting how, and I think again, like it's hard to judge because it's of history, but they're fucking loaded on the Beatles. But maybe also the Beatles don't know they're loaded. Weirdly, I don't really understand. You never know. Because I know there are stories of Paul when he goes to the Mulligan Tire, like being broke because like they've had the money nicked or whatever, or they can't get it out of Apple. But they're talking about Billy, and George is like, I want him to join the band, but also is like, we'll just pay him musician rates. We'll pay him
Nicky Hopkins rates.
Yeah, and you're thinking like it's pretty weird. And then Paul broaches it. He says, "You're all right coming here,"
Yeah.
We should go. He's like, I got nothing else to do, man. He's like, oh, you should pay. He's thinking you're going to get paid or something. It's kind of.
I got a take that I don't even want to say, but I'm going to say it because we have a show.
Yeah.
Which is that I'm not sure how into it Paul is. That Billy's there at first.
I don't think he's into it.
That John and George are really into it. I don't want to say it.
No, I know.
I want them to all be into it. But I kind of think Paul's a bit like, well, I can play the keys. I could do it. These.
Yeah. I think he thinks,
I hate to say it. I don't even want to say it.
I think that they need like we all know that the music sounds great, but I think Paul's thinking, if this was just a record, I could do it.
And he's you know so
it
traditional.
Might be true. It might be true.
He's like, we don't want a fifth Beatle. Yeah. Like, and I'm like, dude, just chill out.
It's tough.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a tough take.
He obviously gets into it.
Well, yeah. I mean, because he gets into it because he likes music.
Yeah.
He loves music, but he also has this like just massive ego that really, really stops him. It's sort of like pulls him back, you know, and ultimately it pulled him back his entire career.
Yeah.
And you know, like I don't know if he ever was able to have fun. You know, we were talking in the last episode about the sort of round table moment at the start of Act 2.
Yes.
And John is really holding court. And it's wonderful to watch, and he's making Paul laugh, and I'm not sure Paul really is laughing. That's what
my mom said.
Yeah, but when they're doing Get Back, he is. It's real, like he's really enjoying it.
Yeah.
And he's a fragile person. I think the hot take would be, and we'll get onto it more in the next episode, is that we all know, like John's kind of trespasses, like, you know, his like ego and all the May Peng stuff, all the politics stuff, the Yoko stuff, it was all in the public, right? And, you know, like Child of Nature to Jealous Guy is a great like kind of analogy for it, because it's like that also is the transition of his ego into like, I'm just going to wear it. I'm just going to wear it out on, you know, in front of everyone.
Yeah.
And sometimes that's really ugly. But Paul's been really careful. He's kept it really calculated and in. And I wonder if it's affected his music. He's not been able to like he's been so private. Like, I wonder if it's like impacted him, even, you know, starting then, you know?
Yeah.
And the ways in which he's tried to sort of, so your mother said the same thing, because it's interesting to me that like he's just a control freak.
Yeah, she said that
he's got a can't chill out problem.
Yeah, his laughter in that scene
seems
was more
fake.
Uncomfortable.
Yeah, super uncomfortable, I thought.
She had the take that John's kind of holding court and doing all this, and Paul's just sort of
not into it.
He's not comfortable with what's happening.
But he's already
not working.
But he's like, he's so deep in. George has gone. He has to for 2 minutes fucking hold it together, and let it happen, and he manages to, but ultimately like can't at other times. Yeah. You know,
I know.
But he finds joy in reverie in like the process of working, which is great. I mean, it's that John Berger thing, the idea of art being like playing for grown-ups.
Yeah,
but
he needs to be working.
Yeah, he does, but like he doesn't let anyone else work or something.
It's interesting.
I could do I would love like a clinical psychologist to break this down.
Of course,
like a Freudian.
We should. I guess
we got to find someone like that
on top of like Luke and Bleeker. And
we should
get a psychologist to break down. Watch this.
There probably is like a Beatles psychology YouTube guy.
Oh, girl, let's look into this.
That would be sick, because I would love that broken down.
And if not, you know, a potential new career for me.
I mean, it would only take you like
Beatles psychologist.
I could do a master's. I'd go back in. Yeah,
Beatles psychologist.
Probably a course in Liverpool. They do everything they can to ape that shit.
Yeah, they
probably do it at like.
I bought some Beatle boots there when I was 17.
Well, of course.
Like I went there and like went to a store,
of course,
and spent like way too much on some Beatle boots.
The best purchase of all time.
Yeah,
sure you don't regret it.
Didn't feel good at all. Really uncomfortable.
Well, you got to wear them in.
Yeah.
You know, you've also got to be able to play, you know, the solo in Taxman.
Yeah.
You know.
I can do that.
Backwards. Because then it would make sense.
Probably can't play bass and sing on it. You can.
Depends. I've never tried, but, you know.
Well, Paul doesn't even sing on it, but...
No, but
if you had to.
But he would say he could.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, he could.
Yeah. Well, we're over here. I hope you enjoy your roti tomorrow.
I'm going to eat it tonight.
All right. Well, I know you got a big day tomorrow. I know. I said at the end of the last episode, you know, I was going to make a a kind of potato masala style curry.
I'm really excited. That's why I can't wait. I would love to take it to the studio tomorrow.
Do you want a bit of chutney with it? It's kind of got a Rishikesh vibe.
Of course it does.
Yeah. Everything I'm doing. Even somehow the Guinness fits in. I don't know why.
Yeah. Kind of English.
Yeah.
Well, Irish
kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
But anyway, Act 2, beautiful stuff. For everyone listening, just want you to know that we're not done. With Act 1 or Act 2.
Oh, come on.
Because
please.
we're going to break down the two of us, the 3 acts, but then we're going to have guests, we're going to have psychologists, we're going to have Beatlesologists.
Yeah, which is probably a thing.
On here to break down the thing as a whole.
Yes.
So, stay tuned. Happy holidays, Merry Christmas. It's
absolutely.
that time of
Happy
year
Hanukkah.
when the world falls in love.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. Cheers.